Joining me today is Elton DaSilva, who is the executive director of Camp Arnes. You're a few months into this role, and you have had a long time in ministry kind of leading you to this point. So we're going to dive into that in just a second. So, yeah, I mean, I guess a good place to start is kind of coming to Camp Arnes. What has your ministry journey looked like?
Well, yeah, thank you. It's a long journey. I'm not as young as I used to be. So my journey started observing my parents, who were missionaries both in Bolivia, and then they were sent to Canada as missionaries. I was born in Brazil and close to the Amazon, and Dad was part of a very large church in Brazil, and they sent us as missionaries to Canada, to a Portuguese-speaking people in Edmonton. Observing ministry, I didn't want to do that. I pursued business and economics and did all kinds of things away from that. But God has a way of calling people and pulling people, and He did that as He invited me to plant a church in the Elmwood area of Winnipeg. We planted and pastored for 11 years, and then invited into conference ministry at several levels, provincial, nationally, and then global with the Mennonite Brethren.
And growing up in Brazil, what was that like? How old were you when you came to Canada?
I was 17 years old. It was very difficult. It was a difficult experience at 17, having to leave behind family and friends. I did not know how to speak the language, English at all. The only word I knew was thank you. And so whenever somebody smiled or said something, that was just a response I would give. Adapting to a cold environment. I was, in a city where it can hit 40 degrees almost every day, plus humidity. And then you end up in a city like Winnipeg. So I can say God does have a sense of humor in that way. So all of those things were challenging. But observing my parents, hard work and their faithfulness to God and a calling, imprinted something in me.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, it would not have been easy to make that transition, especially as a kid. So how did going through that, you said you were admiring your parents, but also just your own faith. How did that strengthen your own faith?
I think being a missionary kid, you can go one or two ways. One, you can completely revolt against God and think, why would you take me from my comfort and lead me to places unknown and stretches? Or you can actually learn to trust. And I think I took the second road, the road where you say, okay, if this is God, then He has a plan. And if He has a plan, I should trust. And if I should trust, then I should calm myself and come to Him with that. So that was the growing experience inside of me. It was the learning to trust God for my next steps.
And then, so like you said, you became a pastor in Winnipeg, and now you're at Camp Arnes. So what drew you to Camp Arnes from pastoral ministry?
Well, just before I was at Camp Arnes, I was the global director for the MB Conference of Churches, a group of churches that has presence in several countries and around the world. So traveling, involved in leadership development and helping the church develop their mission. Very rewarding, but the travel was just extensive. When that came to an end in October of last year, I wanted to look for something that was local, something that was I could stick around, be with family, and still invest in people, still investing in lifting people up to be what God wants them to be, and help them discover that. And Camp Arnes is that perfect place. We do ministry from a very young age. I think the youngest campers that we have is, around the 8 years old. But then beyond campers, we have a summer staff of close to 50 people, and most of them are young adults. How do you invest in them? We want to continue to invest in seniors and local leaders and pastors. So all of that just made Camp Arnes for me a good fit. Mm-hmm. Plus, it's a beautiful place. So it doesn't hurt that you're right on the shores of Lake Winnipeg and you have, beauty surround you.
Yeah, it makes going to work a little bit easy, right? When that's right. Where you are. So over your time since you started in March, what has been a highlight for you at Camp Arnes?
I think meeting some of the people that have worked at Camp Arnes and are working at Camp Arnes, their passion for what they do is inspiring. So, I've been inspired by people who work long hours. They are, they are just, and they have a joy as they do it. So that kind of stuff, that kind of attitude makes me happy, and it has really made the place a good place to work.
And how have you seen God move in your time there? Is there like a specific story that stands out to you?
Yeah, so maybe one of the things that I could say is that, for Camp Arnes, the 2 years of COVID were very, very hard on the economic side of Camp Arnes. And so we are seeing God at work in allowing us to recover from that now, and seeing some growth in both the churches coming back and saying, this is a good place. God's presence is here, and we feel comfortable here. And also seeing, campers come back. So it's allowing us to reinvest in the facilities, reinvest in a place, re-engaging ministry from a broader point of view. So I'm seeing all of that taking place this year.
And looking forward, we're coming up to summertime, so it's probably going to be a pretty busy time for you and the rest of the staff at Camp Arnes. So what are you looking forward to the most, maybe just for the summer?
I love hearing the sound of children and youth just having a good time. The first time they get harnessed and they let go of the top of the pole into a zip line, and they just scream all the way down. There's that fear that they are not going to be able to do it. They do it at one time, and they want to keep doing it the whole week long. So that is something that just brings, if you think from a spiritual metaphor, that's just much like who we are. God sometimes invited us to some places where it's scary, and he says, take a leap now. And I got you. I put a harness on you. You're not going to fall. And but if sometimes we just hold on to that pull and we don't want to let go. So seeing that, seeing God at work in every aspect, it just makes it makes me look forward to what's coming next. So we're going to have in the next little while 800 plus kids coming, and all different ages and different interests. A lot of the children we have coming are children that have no Christian experience or background. A lot of them come from very difficult backgrounds where, they are either a ward of the state, or they're coming from broken homes. And just to be able to love them, understand them, give them a place where they can feel like all the worries of the world disappears for a week. It's something that will bring us a lot of joy.
And maybe touch on that a little bit more. Like you said, like you could also just be their introduction to Jesus. And it's like these kids that you're just kind of giving them this week of fun, but also kind of like you say, could be introducing to Christianity too. So how do you kind of balance that while having fun, because they are kids? You want to let them have fun and relax a little bit, but also just kind of keeping that greater picture in mind.
Yeah, and everything we do, we try to bring this attention to, God is behind all of this, and Jesus has an invitation for you. So that is in everything we do. So our summer team are trained to do that. We do a training on what's the gospel, and how do you share the gospel in a way that is not invasive but is invitational. So we want to do that. We do have Bible studies every day, and we do have a chapel time every day with the kids. And then the kids, when they go back to their cabins with their cabin leads, they unpack what does this mean to me? I believe it. I don't believe it. We choose not to push anything on anybody. We are just simply sharing that we believe we are loved by God, and we want to share His love for people.
And if somebody's watching or listening to this right now, and maybe they're looking for something for their kids to do this summer, and they're like, okay, I want to learn more about Camp Arnes, where's the best place for them to go?
Well, they can just register at our camparnes.com. Regardless of your financial situation, sometimes people don't think about camp because it is an expense. We have connected ourselves to a couple of private and other associations that actually help people be able to afford to bring their kids to camp. So don't make money a factor in this. Come and talk to us. We want to see your children there. We want to have a relationship with the parents. If you are people that go to church, if you're people that don't go to church, you're going to be loved and cared as you come to us.
All right. Well, Elton, thank you so much for joining me today, sharing a little bit about this. And yeah, thank you for joining me.
Thank you. My pleasure.